Hi, good day, Dr. Kwan. Today we are going to present our financial assignments. We are from Group 3 and our member have Amin Hossam, Yubin and Hadi. So as you can see from the slide, this is our table of content. We have 5 sections, which is the introductions, company overview, financial analysis, financial strength and weakness, and last is the recommendations. So for the first, I will talk about the introduction of Mr. DIY. Mr. DIY is a Malaysia home improvement retailer, began as a consumer hardware store in 2005. Over the years, it has expanded into a retail mall and has 2,500 stores across Asia and 1,000 in Malaysia. The company has managed to keep price low due to its strong procurement process and a wide range of the products.
Hello, my name is Amir, and for this part of the presentation, I'll be talking about the company overview. So I've separated it into 3 parts, so it's easier to grasp and understand. And then in the next slide, there's going to be an additional 2 more. So for the first point, for the company overview, Mr. DIY Group was established in 2010 and is a Malaysian-based company, as we know, based in Seri Kembangan. And then number 2, the company specializes in home renovation products and offers a diverse range of them. And number 3 is the company business model focuses on providing consumers with a convenient one-stop shopping experience for DIY and home-related items. All right, so for this slide, we have the 2 additional points for the still regarding the company overview. So number 4 is that Mr. DIY positions itself as a budget-friendly brand, ensuring high-quality products, and always they stay by their motto, which is always low prices. So that's what they stand by. And then number 5, last and final point in the company overview, which is it's Mr. DIY operates in the retail sector, and it caters to a broad consumer base because it emphasizes on affordability and has a variety of different products that they have to offer. So they cater to a larger customer base.
Hi, my name is Hadi Aiman, and today I will talk about financial analysis. All summary financial data for Mr. DIY were gathered from investing.com, this including balance sheet, income statement, and also cash flow statement. So first category is liquidity ratio. Current ratio for Mr. DIY in 2020 1.73, 2021 2.02, and 2022 1.9, compared to 7-Eleven in 2022 0.85.
For the strength and weakness of current ratios, Mr. DIY increasing current ratios indicate an improving ability to meet its short-term obligations using the current assets, while although Mr. DIY increased current ratios such as improved liquidity and excessive high current ratios may indicate the company is not effectively utilizing its current ratios.
Next, quick ratio. In 2020, 0.42, 2021, 0.5, and 2022, 0.32 for Mr. DIY. Compared to 7-Eleven, it was 0.39 for 2022.
For the strength and weakness of the quick ratio is the Mr. DIY increasing quick ratio indicates a strengthening ability to meet its short-term obligation using its most liquid assets, while the decreasing quick ratios of Mr. DIY suggest to cover its short-term liabilities with its most liquid assets.
Next is cash ratio for Mr. DIY in 2020, 0.17, 0.46 in 2021, and 0.28 in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven, it was 0.27 in 2022.
For the financial strength and weakness of the cash ratios, the increasing cash ratios of Mr. DIY indicates a growing ability to cover its short-term liabilities with its cash and cash equivalents. Although Mr. DIY increasing cash ratios suggest enhanced liquidity and excessively high cash ratios may indicate underutilizations of cash resource, potentially leading to a misinvestment opportunity and suboptimal financial performance.
Next is activity ratio. First is receivables turnover. Mr. DIY in 2020 got 36.56, 2021 50.34, and 2022 51.75. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 34.28.
For the strength and weakness of the receivables turnover, the increasing receivable turnover of Mr. DIY indicates a more efficient management of its account receivables, while the decreasing receivables turnover of Malaysia DIY suggests a potential issues with the company credit policy and or collections efforts, leading to a slow collections of cash and potentially impacting the cash flow of the financial performance.
Next, day sales in receivables. Mr. DIY in 2020 is 10 days, 2021 is 7.25 and decreased to 7 days in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was about 34.86 days.
The financial strength and weakness of the day sales in receivables, the increasing day sales in receivables of Mr. DIY suggests a potential issue with the company's credit policy of collecting efforts, leading to a longer time period of the company to collect its accounts receivables, while the decreasing day sales in the receivables of Mr. DIY indicate a short-term time period for the company to collect its account receivables.
Next, inventory turnover. Mr. DIY in 2020 is 2.12, 2021 2.43, and 2022 2.04. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 5.37.
For the financial strength and meanness of the inventory turnover, the increasing inventory turnover of Mr. DIY indicates a more efficient management of its inventory, while the decreasing inventory turnover of Mr. DIY suggests the potential issues with the company inventory management or sales performance, leading to a slower sales and potentially impacting its cash flow and financial performance.
Next, day sales in inventory. Mr. DIY in 2020 was 172 days, 150 days in 2021, and 178 days in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022 was 48.67 days.
For the financial strength and weakness of the day sale in inventory, the increasing day sale in inventory of Mr. DIY suggests a potential issues with the company investing measures or sales performing, leading to a longer time period for the company to sell its inventory. While the decreasing day sales in inventory of the Mr. DIY is the shortened time of the period of the company to sell its inventory.
Next, payables turnover, Mr. DIY in 2020 is 39, 2021 42.71, and 2022 45.66. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022 is 4.05.
For the financial strength and meanness of the payables turnover, the increasing payables turnover of Mr. DIY indicates that the company is paying its suppliers more efficiently, and while the decreasing payables turnover is the company is paying to its suppliers less efficiently.
Next, day sales in payable. Mr. DIY in 2020 was 9.35 days, 8.54 days in 2021, and 8 days in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022 was 90.12 days.
The financial strength and weakness of the day sales in payables, the decreasing day sales in payables of Mr. DIY suggests that the company is paying to its suppliers more quickly, while the increasing day sales in payables that the company is taking longer time to pay to its suppliers.
Next is total asset turnover. Mr. DIY in 2020 was 1, 2021 1.25, and 1.2 in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022 was 1.4.
The financial strength and weakness of the total asset turnover, the increasing total asset turnover of the Mr. DIY indicate that the company is generating more revenue per dollar of assets, while the decreasing total asset turnover of Mr. DIY suggests that the company is generating less revenue per dollar of assets.
Next, average collection period. Mr. DIY in 2020 11.3, 7.25 in 2021, and 7.05 in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 21.33 days.
For the financial strength and weakness of the average collections period, the increasing average collection period of Mr. DIY suggests that the company is taking longer time to collect its account receivables, while the decreasing average collections period of Mr. DIY indicates that the company is collecting its account receivable more quickly.
Next category is debt ratio. Total debt ratio for Mr. DIY in 2020 is 0.61, 2021 0.42, 2022 0.57. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 0.91.
The financial strength and weakness of the total debt ratios, the increasing total debt ratio of Mr. DIY suggests that the company is relying more on debt to finance its assets, while the decreasing total debt ratios of Mr. DIY is that the company is relying less on the debt to finance its assets.
Next, debt equity ratio. Mr. DIY in 2020 got 0.95, 2021 0.63, and 2022 0.79. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 5.29.
For the financial strength and weakness of the debt equity ratios, the increasing debt equity ratio of Mr. DIY suggests that the company is relying more on debt relative to equity, while the decreasing debt equity ratios of Mr. DIY indicates that the company is relying less on debt relative to equity. The financial strength and weakness of the equities multiplier is the increasing of equity multiplier of Mr. DIY indicates that the company is using more leverage from equity to finance its assets, while the decreasing equity multiplier of Mr. DIY suggests that the company is using less leverage from equity to finance its assets.
Next, times interest earn ratio. For Mr. DIY in 2020, it was 7.75, 10.67 in 2021, and 11.27 in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 0.29.
For the financial strength and weakness of the time interest earn ratios, the increasing interest earn ratios of Mr. DIY indicates the company's earnings are increasingly able to cover its interest obligations, while the decreasing time interest earn ratios of Mr. DIY suggest that the company earnings are less able to cover its interest obligations.
Next category is profitability ratio. Profit margin for Mr. DIY in 2020 was 13.17%, 2021, 12.8%, and 2022, 11.87%. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 1.82%.
For the financial strength and weakness of the profit margins, the increasing profit margin of Mr. DIY indicates that the company is generating a higher percentage of profits from its sales, while the decreasing profit margin is the company is generating a lower percentage of profit from its sales.
Next, return on assets for Mr. DIY in 2020 is 14.96%, 2021, 15.99%, and 14.23% in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 2.56%.
For the financial strength and weakness of the return on assets ROA, the increasing return on assets of Mr. DIY indicates that the company is generating higher profit from its assets, while the decreasing return on assets is the company is generating low profit from its assets.
Next, return on equity. Mr. DIY in 2020 was 38.42%, 37.51% in 2021, and 32.93% in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 29.69%.
The financial strength and weakness of the return on equity ROE, the increasing return on equity of Mr. DIY indicates the company is generating a high profit from its equity, while the decreasing in the return of equity is the company is generating lower profit from its equity utilizations.
And last category, market ratio, earning per share in cents. Mr. DIY in 2020 was 1.4, 1.6 in 2021, and 1.3 in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 0.01%.
For the financial strength and weakness of the earning per share is the increasing earning per share of Mr. DIY indicates that the company is generating a higher profit per share, while the decreasing earnings per share of Mr. DIY suggests that the company is generating a low profit per share.
Price earning ratio, Mr. DIY in 2020 was 58.1, 2021 52.66, and 40 in 2022. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 32.44.
For the financial strength and weakness of the price earning ratios is the increasing price earning ratio of Mr. DIY indicates that the market is willing to pay a higher price for the company's stock relative to its earning, while the decreasing price earning ratio of Mr. DIY suggests that the market is willing to pay a lower price for the company's stock relative to its earning.
Market book ratio, Mr. DIY in 2020 was 22.34, 2021 19.73, and 2022 is 13.16. Compared to 7-Eleven in 2022, it was 15.97.
For the financial strength and weakness of the market book ratios, the increasing market book ratio of Mr. DIY indicates that the market is willing to pay a higher price for the company's stock relative to its book value, while the decreasing market book ratios is the market is willing to pay a lower price for the company stock relative to its book values.
All right, so moving on, I'll be covering the recommendations part as well. So I'll be dissecting the recommendations part into three different segments, which are the operational improvements, strategic improvements, and financial management. So those are what I'm going to be talking about in the next three slides. So over here, we have our operational improvements. And once again, I've chosen three main points. Even though we have a lot of operational improvements that could have been suggested, I decided to go with those three. So for the first point, there's the technology integration. So they essentially need to make use of data analytics to comprehend consumer preferences. And then number two, we have employee training and engagement, which is to implement employee management programs to boost morale and productivity. And then the third point is efficient store operations, which is to optimize store layouts for easy navigation and better product visibility overall for the customers. All right, so moving on for the strategic improvements, three main points again for this specific part. So the first one being market expansion, which is to explore opportunities for international expansion into new markets, not just stay in the current old one. And then the second point, customer loyalty programs, which is to implement or further enhance customer loyalty programs so that the customers keep coming back to the business over and over again, increase their loyalty. And then the third and last point for the strategic improvements, which is strategic partnership, that is essentially to form partnerships with other retail or non-retail companies to expand product offering to enhance the customer experience so that they have a variety of and deeper variety of products as well, not just the current selection. All right, so moving on to the financial management part. So this is the last subtopic when it comes to the recommendations part overall. So for the three main segments of this part, which is number one, the debt management, to maintain a healthy balance between equity and debt financing, plus regularly review existing debt arrangements so that the company is always in a favorable position so that they understand what they are getting into. And then for the second part, The second point, financial risk management, which is to identify and assess financial risks, including currency fluctuations and interest rate risks. So this essentially means to keep track of to be aware of the risk and know how to manage it well throughout the entire company. And the last point, which is contingency planning, to develop contingency plans for various financial scenarios, including economic downturns or other unexpected unfavorable events, so that they are ready for any unexpected event to happen. They can have plans set in motion.
That's all from us. Thank you very much, Dr. Kwan.